Report a shot fired at officers fenced up the vehicle.
We have one officer shot.
We got shots fired. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red, shots fired.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Now it's Shots Fired with your hosts TJ Kirgin, Dinah Death Milberg, and the lovely Krystal Powers.
What's up, guys? I am filling in all week for TJ Kirgin as he is out in Clearwater right now, getting ready everything for the hurricane. So best wishes to him and everybody on that side to stay safe, and hopefully it misses them. Looks like things are getting pretty spicy down there, and it's picking up steam, but who knows? Hurricanes have done weird things before and completely missed them. But that's where he's at all week, is preparing. We've got that store down there north of Tampa Bay, so he's getting everything hurricane-proofed, as well as some of his houses down there to stay safe during the storm. So I'll be filling in, get some people in this week as well to hopefully help fill the void, as this gets really boring doing by yourself. I don't know how he does it time after time. Not too much to go over this week. So far, things have been relatively quiet in the news for now, going after firearms, aside from Biden continually coming out stating that he's coming for assault weapons. I'm not really sure what an assault rifle is. Not really familiar with that. I think he's using words that he doesn't know or understand the meaning, but that's not exactly a shocker. If anybody's wanting to call in and ask questions, give their 2 cents, whatever, call us at 636-224-6300. That is 636-224-6300. So some things we'll go over today. Some gun picks. Just stuff that we've been having around the shop lately that we've been hearing. And we've noticed an increase in plate carriers. All this stuff with Russia, war with Ukraine, and Iran wanting to get involved, and China talking about getting involved has, strangely enough, made people a little nervous. And once again, people are getting plate carriers and stuff because, just in case. Again, it sounds crazy, and I highly doubt anything is going to happen stateside. But those are good pieces of gear to have regardless, as, you never know what's going to happen. It's fun to just have and train in and get used to wearing the weight. It's good exercise to run around, take some classes with that on. But also, if whatever hits the fan, never hurts to have a plate carrier handy. I always thought it was crazy until the Ferguson riots kicked off, and the people who were stuck down there, we had quite a few customers who lived in that area who never remotely showed interest in a plate carrier. And within the first week of the riots, they were in the shop buying plate carrier and plates because just to go outside or be at the house in case things spilled out into some of the subdivisions, because they were hearing gunshots left and right nonstop for hours upon hours. So suddenly the idea of just regular everyday person having a plate carrier and armor was not such a crazy idea. Some other things I want to cover today is go over what is rated as the top 12 handguns for conceal and carry by popular caliber as well. May agree with it, may disagree, but it's going off of what the top sellers are at the moment. And then I'll talk about some pros and cons for each of those. So if you are considering getting your conceal and carry, or you're going to go the old constitutional carry route and you're not sure what guns to check out or what you should get, these are some suggestions. Now, I always tell everybody the same thing over and over. We get people in on a almost daily basis saying, hey, I'm wanting to start carrying. I'm wanting something for home defense. What do you think I should get? And I'll tell them whatever you shoot best with. There is no one perfect gun for everyone. What works for me may not at all work for you, and vice versa. So our friends over at Ultimate Defense have fixed that solution by having a massive firearms rental wall. I want to say they've probably got 40 or 50 different handguns that you can test out, rent, and get some trigger time with before you make that purchase. So you can decide, oh, hey, I thought I was going to like this, but I actually hated it. Or, I wasn't expecting or even considering this, and I ended up absolutely loving it. So that was, you're not making a $400, $500, $600, $700 mistake like many people over and over do. So we'll go through these, and then I'll kind of go to the pros and cons, in my opinion, on some of them. Starting out, the top pick, the Sig Sauer P365 XL. That was one pick for the micro compact carry. I wholeheartedly agree with this choice. If you are looking for a good carry gun, that hits every single mark in my book. Factory, 12+1 mag, so 13 rounds total. It's optics ready, so you can put a red dot on there, which if you're not familiar with that, a lot of pistols are doing that these days, cut for red dots. And that is a complete game changer. Even if you're a decent shooter, it makes you a better shooter. Still good to have the basics. You can't beat that. But speed-wise, target acquisition is insanely fast over iron sights. It's the same with why they have red dots or holographics on a rifle. Long shots, like I'm talking 50, 75, 100, 200 yards, are... you can still do it with iron sights, but it's much easier with a red dot. Like, pretty much any normal person can get behind one, warm up a little bit, and then start hitting some distances that might surprise you. This SIG P365 XL is already set up for that. So, it's got a rail, so you can install a lighter laser. I'm not big on lasers at all. In my experience, it teaches more people bad habits than good and teaches them to rely on the laser instead of actually using their sights and aiming. But it does have that option. More importantly, it has an option for a light. That's a good thing to have because it probably doesn't hurt to be able to identify your target before you engage. The triggers are absolutely fantastic on those. Very smooth, crisp, light pull with a fantastic reset. The factory sights they install on it, at least on mine, they have the, SIG calls them the X-ray sights, and they were night sights with tritium that glow in the dark. So you can actually line your sights up. So all the features I want in any gun, the SIG P365 XL checked them all off. It's small, but not too small. I can still get a good purchase on it with my hand. It's comfortable to shoot. I actually enjoy shooting it. It's the first carry gun I've had that is that perfect size, but still enjoyable to shoot. And you can get extended 15-round magazines that just hang out an extra inch and they have a sleeve on. Their second choice, the runner-up for favorite 9mm micro compact. And this is from PewPewTactical.com. They're pretty good at doing nonstop reviews like this. They picked the Smith & Wesson Shield 9 Plus. I do not know much about the 9 Plus model. It's a relatively new one. I'm not sure the features over a regular Shield, but the Smith & Wesson M&P Shields are a fantastic series to look at as well. Single stacked, very easy to carry, very reliable, easy to shoot. I don't think it's red dot cut. I do believe it comes with night sights and a larger capacity, although I think the standard Smith & Wesson Shield is 7 rounds or 8 rounds with an extended 9-round mag. Best single stack 9mm is the Glock 43. I actually had this. This was my everyday carry gun, and then I ditched it for the SIG P365 because when it comes down to it, it's a 6+1. Now, Shield Arms for the 43X and 48, there's a company called Shield Arms that makes 15-round mags. To me, 12 rounds is the minimum I want to carry, and I really don't like that. I prefer at least 15. For a lot of people, that sounds crazy. Oh, if you can't, I don't know how many times I've heard someone say, well, if you can't get it done with 1 or 2 rounds, then you need more training. Well, I'll talk more about that after this break, but that's a really good notion and theory to have, except it holds to absolutely nothing. Again, if you want to call when we get back, 636-224-6300. We'll be right back. What's up, guys? We are back again. I am Donnie Death Milberg here, filling in for TJ Kirgin, who is out in Florida getting ready for this awesome tropical hurricane that's about to hit the west coast of Florida. So hopefully that goes past and misses them and he can just sit down there and relax. But prayers out to him and everybody else in that area, as it's supposed to get quite nasty. So we were talking about possible considerations and picks and recommendations for CCW gun for a first-time gun buyer, or a regular gun buyer who just finally wants to break down and buy a carry gun. We talked about the SIG P365 XL, the Smith & Wesson Shield 9 Plus, the Glock 43. Next on the list, I'm not a fan of this one, the Taurus G2C. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who will probably get all mad at me talking trash on Taurus, but mine comes from experience. I owned one, and it was the biggest piece of junk pistol I could ever have imagined in my life. It came apart easy because all I had to do was shoot it, and it would take itself apart. That is not what you want to have happen in a carry gun. A lot of people argue that they've got the best customer service out there. That's because they do it on a regular basis, because these things break constantly. Cool if it's just for fun gun or whatever, that's not a big deal, but if I'm supposed to rely on this with my life or someone else's, I really don't want good customer service. I want a gun that functions. So I'm going to disagree with this one. While I've heard it's a good shooter and it's got all like great features, and apparently Taurus has upped their quality, I'll believe it when I see it, and from what I understand, they're still getting sent in for repairs and fixes on a regular basis. Next pick, good for a lot of the females too, an easiest racking. So chambering the round, pulling the slide back to put a round in. The Smith & Wesson Easy. For a lot of women, that's one of the harder things to do. I've seen plenty of women who have no problem with it, but I've also seen women and men who struggle with it. Smith & Wesson solved that problem with the Easy series. That literally made it easy to pull the slide back, to chamber around, to clear the weapon, to lock it back, whatever, by going with just a lighter recoil spring. And these things are nice too. That's one thing I will give the Smith & Wesson M&P series for the shields. I don't really like the lower magazine capacity, but they shoot great, and they are a very affordable price. You can snag these things up between like $375 and like $500. Next on the pick, I agree with this. However, this is not normal people guns. For the 2011 pick. So 2011, you have your old World War II 1911. It's a hammer-fired, single-stage, single-stacked 45 ACP. It's what they had in World War I, World War II. It's a very iconic, famous sidearm. A lot of people, usually older people, swear by it because, my 45 and 2 world wars, et cetera, et cetera. It's a great gun. They're fun to shoot. They're blast. There's tons of history behind it. It's one of the oldest still relative firearm designs today. But what it comes to is it lacks in a lot of areas, and it's a big, heavy gun. So they created this thing called 2011s, where it's an updated version. Has all the great features of a 1911, a very smooth slide, a bull barrel, a full-size grip, the weight. A lot of times the weight comes in handy to fight the recoil. But with 2011, they updated the grip. It still has that famous 1911 smooth, crisp, light trigger, but now they've widened the grip to accept double-stack magazines. So whereas before you were getting a whopping 7 or 8 rounds, now you are getting 17+, give or take some. Their pick is the Staccato C2. It is 16 + 1 rounds. More and more like what I like to see, higher round capacity. So you're getting all the ergonomics of a 1911, the fantastic trigger, the good sights, all the benefits, and the weight. The downfall, they're between $2,000 and $2,500. That is a bit steep for a carry gun. Not everybody wants to fork out $2,000 for a carry gun. While they are fantastic, I have had the chance of getting my hands on them and getting a significant rounds downrange through them. That's a hard pill to swallow, spending $2,000, a mortgage payment and a half on a firearm, especially a pistol. A rifle, that's not a big deal, but a pistol, that just seems to be an awful lot. The editor's pick, and this kind of tells me everything I need to know about them. Springfield XDS 45 ACP. 45 was great. It's done its time. There's better rounds out there. And again, it's all about capacity. You know, we've talked over and over about how incidents these days, statistics show that it's usually more than one person committing the crime. More than one attacker, more than one mugger, more than one person breaking and entering in your home. They're going to do stuff with buddies. Typically with 45 ACP, you were looking at a small magazine capacity. So that's great. You have a big round. But if I have 3 bad dudes in my house and 7 rounds, that doesn't sound bad, right? I don't like that. The 1 round, 2 rounds, sometimes 3 rounds might not always be enough. I'm not going to get into too much detail and too many stories, but I've seen this firsthand. One of the first instances I've ever seen of why you want capacity. We were in a gunfight on my first deployment, and my buddy engaged a guy behind a tree, and he put 15 rounds into the guy, zippered him from a waistline to chest, up and down the side and through the front of the torso. About 12 to 15 rounds at 5.56, and the guy dropped, got back up, and still went for his AK. That I don't want to have that happen. I do not want to run out of ammo and, well, that was all I got, and the guy's still coming. You got 3 people and 7 rounds, and you put 2 rounds into one person, or each person, and 1 spare round left, and all 3 are still coming. That's not good. Yeah, you can reload, but again, why I like to have at least 12 or 15 rounds, because the human body is a pretty amazing machine, and it's built to try, when it's wounded, to stop the bleeding and repair itself. And people are still in the fight until they're not. Bad guys can still hurt you, even after you put 1 or 2 rounds in them, or 10 rounds. The whole thing, if you're shooting someone because you're in fear of your life or death or serious bodily harm, you need to be able to prove that. And then you are shooting, I've heard somebody, oh, you shoot to kill. Oh, no, why don't you shoot to wound? You don't do either of those things. You are simply shooting to stop the threat. Whether that is 1 round, 3 rounds, or 18 rounds, does not matter. You are simply firing until you have stopped the threat. Sometimes simply putting 1 round into someone, they no longer want to do whatever they were planning on doing before. Sometimes that may be 15 rounds. And if you've got 3 or 4 people attacking you, that requires some reloads. So, long way around it. The Springfield XDS, especially in 45 in my book, it is a good shooting gun, but I personally recommend staying away from those smaller capacities. Yes, I get the fact that it is so easy to carry that you can simply slip it in your pocket and go, but man, that is not a comfy feeling to know that you are only sitting on 6, 7, or 8 rounds, and that may not be enough. Now, their larger 45 ACP pick, definitely large. This is going to be more winter outside the waistband. The FNX 45 ACP. I've got no arguments there. That is a fantastic pistol, double single action. It's a polymer gun, metal slide, hammer fired. It's got all the benefits of full-sized, a good trigger, a full-length rail system, great sights. I believe it's 13+1 for the capacity, so it's got solid capacity. And you're looking around $700 or around $1,000 if you get the tactical model that's set up with suppressor height sights and a threaded barrel to run suppressed. Continuing on, editor's pick 380, the Ruger LCP Max. Ruger's going to fall in the same book for me in a lot of cases as Taurus. I've seen a lot of Rugers fail and have to get sent back for repairs and break. And the LCP, it's one of the worst triggers I've ever felt. It's one of the most awkward shooting guns I've ever shot. They've upped the capacity. It used to be 6+1 of 380. That was an instant no for me. That's a great backup pistol, but not a primary carry at all. We'll continue on talking about these firearms choices and picks once we come back from this break. Again, if you want to call, 636-224-6300. All right, guys, we are back after yet another break. Again, if you want to call, ask questions, tell me you're bored, and tell me to shut up, whatever, 636-224-6300. So, continuing on, we've been going over recommendations if you're looking at having a conceal and carry pistol, something you're going to carry on a daily basis, some guns to look at. And again, I didn't come up with this list. Mine would be slightly different, but so far, not bad. Not a bad list at all. Previously, we talked about the Ruger, second runner-up for a 380 ACP pick, which, I mean, I don't know why I have such a problem with 380 other than just if you can handle 380, you can handle 9, and the destructive power of the 9 over the 380 is pretty significant. To me, there's no point in 380. Like, the difference between a 9 and 40 or 9 and 45 or 40 and 45 recoil is pretty significant, but between 380 and 9 is so insignificant. You might as well not waste your time on 380. The only thing you gain with 380 is how compact and small some of the guns can be, but in my opinion, those are better off for a backup pistol, you know, a wallet pistol, a pocket pistol, an ankle pistol, something like that. Their easiest racking 380 ACP pick, again, the Easy Shield 380, all the Easy series shields are going to win every time for this. They're one of the smoothest guns to chamber around with, period. However, that should not be a determining factor on purchasing a firearm, in my opinion. Although, you know, I've dealt with and taught some older women who were starting to have arthritis and issues like that and strength issues in their hands who couldn't physically pull the slide back on any other handgun. So this gives them a solution. So I take that back. There is some applications where it makes sense. Editors pick Revolver. Man, I get it. Revolvers, no moving, hardly any moving parts, ultra reliable, can't go wrong until they do. You have a revolver go out of timing, you're going to have to send it back to the factory. You are not going to be able to get a quick reload with a revolver, so you are limited with a 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 round capacity. That's, again, going to put it in the category of a backup pistol to me, or a glove box pistol or something like that. Not what I would want to rely on my life with and carry as an everyday gun. Some things I consider before I pick a gun. Am I going to carry this regularly? You know, yeah, I can easily conceal and carry my Glock 19, but if I have that as my carry gun, there's times I'm not going to want to because it's bigger and bulkier than what I prefer. That's what led me to the P365 before I did carry a Glock 19. But by the time you add an optic to it, especially a light, that's a big hunk of metal and plastic you're having to carry around. And especially while driving or sitting down, you know, I live out in the boonies, so for me, it is a 30-minute drive almost everywhere. That gets uncomfortable in a car. So these are things to consider too, is, you know, are you really going to wear this all the time? Again, that's why I went with the P365, is the XL is a perfect size. It's comfortable. More often than not, I forget I even have it on. The weight's not bad, but I'm still getting most of the benefits of a full-size pistol. So that's one thing to consider. Optics. Man, I used to be very, you know, optics on a handgun are stupid. I don't need a red dot on a pistol. And then I started messing around with them, and I now have 4 handguns with optics, 3 handguns with optics. So I have quickly changed my mind and seen the light when it comes to an optic on a handgun. It's faster. It's more accurate. You can push the distance out further, and you're getting on target quicker, which to me, that's the difference between winning and losing a gunfight. I'm going to take every advantage I have. So red dots on everything. My home defense gun, my carry gun, my trunk gun, all of it, red dots on everything. Start looking into that. That really is the future of handguns. And if you're not running a optic on your handgun, you're missing out. Trigger, that's a big one too. That can be changed after the fact. There's tons of companies out there like Agency, Zev, I'm trying to think, Apex, that covers pretty much any main pistol brand out there that you could carry. And that's something to consider too, is the aftermarket support. Again, that's why I like Glock and SIG, is there's some other great guns out there, but not really anything for aftermarket support. So you better be in love with the stock form of it. My Glock, I can buy my Glock and then buy another $2,000 in parts to completely change it and have it basically not even remotely like how it was when I first bought it. You don't have to do that, but it's one of the fun things. It's fun changing it, making it unique, making it your own, setting it up the way you want it. Does it have the ability to run a light? I used to run, or for a short time, ran a flashlight on my carry gun, and then I stopped and thought about it. I haven't trained for drawing, coming up, and turning a light on, and honestly, in most situations I could think of in a conceal and carry situation, I probably wouldn't use the light. I'm going to already have identified that the target is a target and a threat before I draw, not after. And if I don't see the target, I probably shouldn't be shooting. On a home defense gun, then it completely makes utter sense. You're scanning, you're looking, you're assessing, you're searching through your home for that threat. That's where the light comes in handy, and you're identifying the target. Out in public and out and about, I'm going to get away. If it's in my house, I'm not running away. I'm staying and I'm fighting. So I've kind of changed my mindset on that. For a home defense gun, absolutely have a flashlight. For a carry gun, I'm not so concerned. So you may feel opposite. You may absolutely want one on a carry gun. So make sure what you're looking at has the ability to run a flashlight. Again, I've already talked about capacity. I prefer not anything under 12 rounds. Some people, it's not that big of a deal. And yeah, you can carry spare mags. But for me to have a good warm and fuzzy about it, I prefer at least a 12-round magazine. That's pretty much it, other than, how does it shoot? Because it may meet every single one of these criteria, and then you take it out to the range and shoot it, and it runs like absolute crap. So ultimately, you want to make sure you can shoot it and enjoy shooting it, and you can shoot it well. But these are all major things to consider. Why am I going over this? Well, the world's a crazy place right now. We've got, Fox News playing here in the station as we're live. And one of the main things they're talking about is just this massive wave in crime. There's all these, almost daily video footage from around the world and around the nation of mobs of people coming in and robbing stores blind, stealing everything in sight, people getting attacked in broad daylight. There's a video out of California of a couple sitting down out on an outdoor patio for lunch and drinks and getting assaulted. Crimes like this are happening constantly. This past weekend, there was 2 different shootings near Maristar Casino over the weekend with people getting shot. It's everywhere, and it's happening more and more on a regular basis. And it's getting to the point where you really don't want to go out in public without having a way to protect yourself and protect your family. And the world is only going to get crazier. I hate to break it to you, if you were listening, it is not going to get better anytime soon. It is going to probably get much worse. And I have a feeling the closer to the election we get, the worse it's going to get. Midterms are going to be interesting. I've heard a lot of people say that they think that this 2024 election is going to be some of the most violent upheaval times that our country's seen in a very long time. And that's saying a lot after considering the past 4 years. So could all be talk, who knows? But again, if you're considering or on the fence about if you want to buy a firearm to carry every day to protect yourself, protect your family, and be out and about, now is the time to consider it, and I wouldn't wait too much longer. One of the benefits is right now there is a surplus of firearms. Production has finally caught up and exceeded that of 2020 and 2021, where demand was double what supply was. Now it's the opposite. There is double supply and demand has greatly died off. It's not dead, but it has significantly died off. So now if you are the buyer, seller, trust me, we sell firearms at TacticalSht.Official, and it is not a seller's market right now. It is most definitely a buyer's market because the market is completely saturated with stock, and it's caused prices to drop drastically. So don't wait until another scarcity, till another event arrives, and scares everyone into a firearms buying frenzy because prices are going to skyrocket. Glock 19s. You can pick up a Gen 3, Gen 4, or Gen 5 Glock 19 for between $400 and $585. During the pandemic, Gen 3 Glock 19s, which were made like 20 years ago, I saw at a gun show going for $680. I talked to people who spent $700 and $800 on their bone stock 20-year-old Glock 19. A new one at sticker is $585 to $625, depending on what model you get. And people were spending $200 and $300 for a used one from 20 years ago above that price. So don't wait till the next pandemic, the next scare, whatever, to arm yourself. Make sure you're doing it now. Now is also the fantastic time to come in and build an AR or buy an AR. Prices on those have plummeted as well. And you can have them for pretty cheap. Now is the time. If you want to get an AR for sub $1,000, come into the shop. We have quite a few at that price point that you can pick from. These are all great guns to have because they're do everything tools. You know, you can have it for home defense. You can have it for fun, for plinking. Guns are plentiful. Ammo prices have come down significantly. I wouldn't say they're back to pre-2020 COVID pricing, but I don't think they're ever going to be back to that. I think this is probably going to be the new norm of 9mm between 28 and 34 cents a round, and 5.56 223 between 45 and 55 cents a round, depending on what you're buying. So this is a great time to stock up and get stuff. Same with plate carriers and armor. If you've ever considered doing that, we have level 4 ceramic plates that'll stop 30-06 armor piercing and below on sale right now for a special for $159.99 a plate. These are usually $239.99 a plate. We've got them for $159.99 a plate. Just because when everything was going crazy, I might have accidentally ordered 3 pallets worth, and we blew through 2. We still have 1 left, and it's slowed down. Still selling probably 5 to 10 sets a week. Getting a lot of people coming in, stocking up. Actually, I had a phone call this morning. Guy wanted to come in and stock up because he's headed to Ukraine. People are pretty disgusted seeing what Russia's doing. Feel sorry for the Ukrainian people, or just, in some cases, you get your OEF, OIF vets in my generation who kind of miss war. It doesn't make much sense if you're a civilian, but I completely understand it and get it. And, if some guys just never really able to quite be themselves again after Iraq or Afghanistan, and haven't had the easiest time adapting and getting back to normal since they've been out, for a lot of guys, this is an option. Choose, if I can't conform and be quote-unquote normal again, then I'm just going to do what I know how to do best and go fight. And I get it. We'll be right back for this final segment after the break. Again, if you want to call, 636-224-6300. And we are back for our last and final segment. So for those of you just tuning in or switch the channel and switching back to see if I've shut up about guns yet, I mean, in my defense, this is Shots Fired, where when we're not talking about gun news, we're talking about guns. And, it's one I figure where I've had enough people in lately in the store. For the user, I can't talk today. For those of you who don't know, I'm the vice president here at TacticalSht.Official. And I'm on the retail floor a lot. So I deal with people on a daily basis who come in and ask, what firearm should they buy? I'm ready to start carrying every day. The world's getting crazy out there. I decided I want to start carrying a gun. What do you recommend? So today I kind of use this segment to go through and give a list of firearm options of what's out there, what's a great gun, what's some of the top ones out there, and then my own personal 2 cents of what I think is good or bad, and then some considerations that from my training and my background that I think people should have. Ultimately, a gun, a gun, I'm going to hit on the same things that I annoyingly do it every time. You could have all this stuff. You could have the perfect carry gun. You could have the best rounds available, a red dot, a flashlight, the greatest holster, a sub-second draw time. But without training and without having the proper mindset, the proper mental capabilities, that does you no good. Training is key. Me and TJ talked about that this week, how we need to get back out there. I've gotten better about practicing all my handgun, but now I think my carbine skills are lacking. I've learned some new tricks because, I did several combat tours. I was in a mobile assault platoon where I was a machine gunner, which was my job in the Marine Corps, as well as being a team leader and then squad leader for a line platoon of ground pounders going around kicking indoors. I finished out my last year in the Marine Corps as an urban warfare and CQB instructor where I taught people how to kick indoors and take houses down and shoot bad guys in houses and stuff like that. I have a great passion for that, but I am still constantly learning new tactics and techniques and gear. And, one I really used to make fun of that I've adopted myself is high port ready. It's kind of hard to explain, so I'd recommend looking up YouTube video on the differences between low ready and high port ready. But I'm constantly learning, and I haven't had a chance to go apply these new skills and really get a feel. I've done dry practice with it, and I get it. It makes sense now. It feels good. But I'd like to run some drills. And again, it's just I've been lazy with doing carbine. The last few times I've gone to the range, I've worked on handgun skills or distance stuff. And while not much is more gratifying than shooting and hearing a ting on steel after you fired 1,000 yards, that's one of the lesser skills I'm more likely to use. Like, out of everything that could ever happen, I don't see me needing to shoot something at 1,000 yards anytime soon, hopefully. But close up with a handgun and close up with a carbine is a more realistic scenario. Hopefully none of that happens, ideally. But if anything was to ever happen, it would be more likely using a carbine or a pistol up close. So I'd like to start applying and training with those techniques again, and I've been horrible about it. So just a little squirrel and going off tangent a bit, but training is key. And you never hit like, okay, I've made it. I've hit that point. You should always be learning new techniques, learning new tactics, striving for more, opening your mind to different ideas and stuff for training. There's a lot of bad stuff out there too. I've seen some really, really stupid stuff. But you kind of got to use common sense on, hey, I don't think that's right. Or, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Again, look where it's coming from. Look at the background of the instructor, what they've done. That can usually be a telltale sign. But there's just a lot out there. Gear is constantly changing. Ballistics are constantly changing. I swear, it seems like every week a new caliber comes out. The Army's getting ready to phase out 5.56 and switch to this new setup with SIG with their new rifles. Forgot the designation. They're calling it like the XM552 or something like that. With the 277 Fury. It's like a 6.8 by 51 millimeter, I want to say. A whole new platform for the military. And that's not been done in a very long time. So seeing a massive change with that always ends up trickling down and affects the civilian market. So don't be surprised if 5 or 10 years from now, all of a sudden 5.56 is a thing of the past and rifles are getting chambered in this new 277 Fury / 6.8 phenomenon. Unfortunately, usually it comes down to combat will tell if this round should stick around or not. It's usually what does it. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if here now that we're switching to a new round, we end up in war soon. It's just usually how it goes. But that's usually what drives the civilian market and changes things. Some stuff we've got coming up. Not too much right now, but it is getting closer to the holiday season. So it'll be a good time to stop by the shop and pick out stuff for the holiday season. Stuff for Christmas, I'll give you guys a heads up. We're going to be rolling in quite a bit of new stuff. If you've come in over this summer, I apologize, but it's been some slim pickings, as we usually stay slim during the summer as it slows down significantly. This is now usually the time where I start significantly restocking and bringing in new stuff. We get people all the time, you guys got anything new in? Because for a while, we trained people with that always bringing in new stuff, on almost a weekly basis. This new brand, this new product, that new product. Well, that's about to start kicking off again. I'm going to be expanding our knife collection. I'm going to be restocking and expanding our medical gear selection, which if you didn't know that, and that's something you're looking for and should be looking for, we do carry a lot of first aid and individual first aid medical equipment, from tourniquets to gauze to dressings and IV starters and needle decompression, all kinds of stuff like that. We stock that. We have been expanding our ammo. I'm going to start bringing in, if I can find it, some of the more popular common hunting rounds, as it's getting to be about that time of the year, which, again, if you're a hunter, probably should have a med kit with you as well. That's one of the top times you see people with gunshot injuries is during hunting season. New hunters and yuppies getting out there not so familiar with the woods and actually shooting another hunter. We'll be bringing in some new armor brands, some new nylon gear for plate carriers, mag pouches, stuff like that. We just became a Vertex dealer, so we will have a lot of stuff, primarily apparel, made for people who carry guns every day but don't want to look overtly like they carry guns every day, including some women's stuff. It's going to be small amounts and more, hey, here's what we can get in special order basis. But we're seeing more women come in. We want to be able to appease you guys. So here shortly, I should have some decent female apparel for those of you who are women and carry guns every day. Along with just a bunch of other stuff. We're going to start kind of a custom corner where our staff who have a vast knowledge of military experience and what gear works and what gear doesn't, we're going to start putting together our own dream builds and own uppers, and even expand into pistols and put together packages. SIG P320 slides, complete with optics and everything. Glock slides, ARs with optics, all kinds of stuff. So if you haven't been in the shop in a while, might want to come in soon, as we should have a lot of new stuff to show off. That's it for today, guys. I will be back tomorrow filling in and all this week for SIG Glock and Colt as he battles hurricanes in Florida. Take it easy, guys, and stay safe.